wasting your potential and making your progress slower than you deserve. Sometimes we don't realize or become aware that certain habits, behaviors, and things that we are allowing are holding us back. And you can decide right now to change that and show up differently as the person you know that you were meant to become. It's time to wake up, choose you, and break those ties that have been holding you back so you can move forward with feeling happy, confident, and fulfilled. Hey guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I am so fired up about this topic. I've got a lot of energy about it. So I just want to get right into it and hopefully change your life just a little. After some health issues and reaching complete burnout a few years ago, I realized something had to change. I was constantly drained, exhausted, unhappy, unfulfilled. I just felt so stuck. But I used to be so positive and energized. I was always out doing all these social things. Younger me just had so much confidence in herself and her abilities and who she was. So it felt really foreign to wake up every day in this stressed, anxious, low energy state that I was living in. And one day I just knew that I was wasting my potential in each day that I was so blessed to be able to wake up to. And I know that some of you feel the same way. And I also know that there is so much more that you are capable of doing, achieving, becoming in your fitness journey, in your relationships, and the impact that you can make on this world. So this past year, I have been so intentional because I realized that I wasn't living intentionally. And I wanted to share the things that I've worked to remove over the past year that has completely transformed my mindset, my fitness journey, and how much I experience and enjoy life. As I poured into myself more, I've been able to let go of things that I didn't realize at the time were really holding me back. So the first thing that I got rid of was screen time in the morning. Now, I will be the first to admit, I used to be one of those people too, where the first thing I would do is I would roll over and I would pick up my phone and I would check all the missed texts, all the missed emails, all the notifications, all the things that I had to do that day. And the very first thing that I did right when I woke up was just take a massive hit of stress and anxiety. And then I wondered why I felt like that so much all throughout the day. I was literally asking for it when I started my day. So instead, I decided, number one, let me be proactive versus reactive to all this stress. And number two, if you did not know this, if you are getting natural sunlight in your eyes before the screen to start your day, that is gonna help your circadian rhythm. That's gonna help your sleep. It's gonna help your natural energy levels. So of course, I wanted to do 2 birds, 1 stone, and I said the first at least 30 minutes of the day, no screens. Maybe I will turn on a meditation or a podcast, but that is it. I'm not scrolling, I'm not texting, I'm not checking notifications, none of that. The world cannot reach me the first 30 minutes of my day. Instead, I save that time for stuff to pour into my own cup so it is full so I'm able to go pour into everybody else's. Maybe I'll go for a walk outside, I'll journal, I'll meditate, whatever I feel like doing at the beginning of the day that's gonna help me feel good and energized and pull that stress down before I jump into doing everything else for that day. I like to think of your stress as it's in a bucket. And if I start the day just pouring more stress into that bucket, it's gonna be really easy to overflow. But if I start the day with something that drains some stress out of that bucket, even if I have more stress added to it, it's not gonna overflow. I'm gonna be able to handle it a little bit better. The second thing that I had to remove and really work through was caring what other people think. And I'm still not perfect with this one. The biggest thing that I repeated to myself was, I'm not trying to fit in. I'm not trying to do what other people want me to do or expect of me. I'm doing what makes me happy. And that's not to say I'm not doing stuff for other people. I absolutely do, and that makes me so happy. But I don't make everything that I do be determined on will it make other people happy or will they judge me for it. I wear what I want, I do what I want, talk how I want, I post what I want. I do things that make me feel happy. And I understand I can't make everybody else happy, and it's not my job to make everybody else happy. It's my job to make me happy. The third thing that I had to remove was the pressure for perfection. Now, raise your hand if you're also a recovering perfectionist. I really don't love that term because I understand that perfection's not real, but my brain still kept trying to convince me that I needed to be perfect, or it wasn't good enough, or I failed, or why even bother. Now, you can even just hear how that totally doesn't serve any type of progress. And I realized that this perfectionism was just procrastination and self-sabotage and self-doubt all in disguise. I didn't need everything to be optimized or perfect. I just needed to try. I just needed to show up. And this really helped me reprogram my brain and give it proof that I'm someone who shows up for myself no matter what, versus if it's not perfect, I just don't try. Now, this is something that you can implement with your fitness journey. Maybe you allow yourself to have a free or an untracked meal each week versus feeling like you need to be absolutely perfect with every single thing that usually leads us to that all or nothing mindset and we go overboard. Maybe for workouts, if you don't feel amazing someday, maybe instead of skipping on that first day of your cycle, you just do what you can and you say, I'm so proud of myself for showing up and moving my body today. Okay, the fourth thing that I'm admittedly still working on getting rid of is scrolling. I will say I'm a lot better at being off of my phone. It's a little hard to reach me sometimes now, which is a good and a bad thing. And I replaced scrolling with reading. When I was scrolling, even if I thought I was relaxing, I'm still not relaxing. And it's really hard to be scrolling social media and not fall into that nasty comparison trap, which does absolutely nothing positive for our mental health or our goals. So instead of scrolling, I do make sure that I filter my feed so it's just people I want to keep up with and things that I want to learn and everything. So I curated that a little bit better. But then I try to spend more of my time reading or learning and expansion. And that has served me so much more, especially because I will admit I was one of those people that just literally loved school, loved reading, loved learning. So that one's a little bit more fun for me. But even if you don't, maybe it's a different hobby that you replace scrolling with. Either way, as much as social media can be such an amazing thing where we can learn and connect with other people, it also can be such a detriment to our mental health. So I really strongly encourage that you are cautious of what type of content you consume and make sure that your screen time is not taking over most of your day being in your phone and scrolling versus actually going and experiencing and improving your own life. Okay, the fifth thing that I had to get rid of, and I'm curious if anybody else can really relate to this one, was feeling like I always needed to be packing my schedule, busy, or listening to something. Like I could never just sit in silence and relax. Like that just wasn't in my vocabulary. And I used to say that's just how I was. I had to keep going. Really, I was just afraid of not doing something and thinking that would make me not keep progressing. Or I was a little uncomfortable just being with myself, if I'm being super honest. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I constantly had to be working, doing something productive, whether it was for work, whether it was for around my house. I could never just do something because I wanted to, because it felt good. I constantly had a podcast or YouTube or music or something going on. I was never truly just quiet and alone with myself in my thoughts. And this might sound a little bit weird, but I intentionally made the effort to spend time with myself. Just me and my thoughts in my head and just relaxing. Both of those together has really helped me break up with that narrative that I thought I always had to be doing something productive and I always had to be stimulated and having things going to feel like I was still moving forward in life. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with on their fitness journey, of being able to take rest days or, have a free meal and then come back to plan, allow ourselves to live in that gray area versus that all or nothing. That was something that was really hard for me, but I realized it made life, number one, kind of miserable. And I didn't understand the benefit that came from rest. The physical, the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, everything gets better when we just let ourselves rest. We were not meant to be go, go, go 24/7. Think about if you have a nice car, right? When I had one of my first cars, I didn't treat her as nicely. The car that I have now, I make sure I put good gas on her, I'm getting her cleaned, I treat her very nicely, right? So I like to think of rest and the quiet time and stuff like this. Now, if I kept trying to drive and I never pulled over and put gas in my car, I would break down and run out of gas. If I never just let myself rest, I will break down and burn out and my body will force me to rest, the car would force me to stop. And likewise, if I don't make sure that I'm getting it cleaned and serviced and taken care of, also might have some issues. Same for myself. If I'm not just having that time to rest and spend that time with me and, pour into my own cup, at some point, I'm gonna run into some problems. And that's gonna affect other things, me trying to drive and go forward in life. I don't know if you guys can tell, my fiance's really into cars. That's why we got the car analogies going on. We're gonna run with it. So now I make sure that I always have at least some part of my day where it's just me in my quiet, in my head, hanging out with me. And I like to be able to phrase it I'm trying to become, or I want to be my own best friend. I want to be my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter. I want to know myself, know what I like, know what I don't like, without all the noise of everything else clouding that. Because that's how you truly can develop that relationship and that love for yourself. And if you love yourself better, you show up for yourself better. Okay, the sixth thing that I stopped doing was constantly second guessing myself and being the nasty inner critic in my head that I know a lot of us do. That doubt that I had in myself was always so loud. I would have a thought about something or to do something, and that second voice would come in and negate it or say why it was dumb or stupid or didn't work or people wouldn't like it. And that imposter syndrome that would come with it would be so loud, which, by the way, imposter syndrome, of course you're going to feel like that because it's brand new. So really, it's not imposter syndrome, it just is uncomfortable because it's new, because you just need to have a little bit of experience with it, but I digress. So my biggest thing now with that inner critic and that second guessing and that confidence in myself, my rule is I don't have to be 100% confident, because very rarely will we ever be 100% confident in anything. Really, I just need to be a little bit more confident that I can than I can't. So like literally 51% is all I need. So I can have that little voice, but that doesn't overshadow that bit of confidence and belief that I have, and I will listen to that one instead. The seventh thing that I had to get rid of was being stuck in preservation mode. Now, this has showed up a couple ways for myself, and honestly, I thought that I was the only one that dealt with this, but I see this a lot with clients too. So I figured I would include this one. This showed up when I was going through a lot of health issues, and I felt like I needed to pull back on everything, and I was scared to really go out and try to push myself and experience life again. When I was younger and I was bullied in middle school and high school, and I was nervous to go out and make friendships again, whenever anything kind of bad or traumatic would happen, I would just revert back into myself, which is a very normal thing to do, but I didn't really allow myself to come back out of it. I just stayed in that preservation mode. So I was playing small, I was just sticking to myself, I was staying quiet, I was always nervous, so I was waiting for that other shoe to drop. And I absolutely think that there are seasons where we need to go into that preservation mode. If something happens in your life and you feel like you just need to take a step back, pull inward, focus on yourself, spend a little bit of time alone, take that time to heal, but make sure once you are healed and once you are past that, you don't just stay stuck in that habit. You allow yourself to come back to life. You allow yourself to come back into everything else that you've been preserving yourself from. There's absolutely seasons where we need to be in preservation mode, but it's not meant to be your new forever. The eighth thing that I kept doing was saying, I'll do it later. I was a procrastination queen, if I do say so myself. I would procrastinate, I would doubt myself, I would just stay in my comfort zone, I will do it later. So if it's something little, I do it now. And if I can't do it now, I schedule a time where I can do it and I will do it. And especially if you are someone who also is neurodivergent, ADHD, and you have a hard time remembering to do things, instead of just saying I'll do it later and knowing I'm definitely not going to remember to do this for another 3 months, either write a post-it note. I have them all over my desk. Put it in your Google Calendar, set an alarm or a reminder on your phone, some kind of visual cue that can pop up at the time that you know you're gonna be able to do it, so you know that you can get it done. Because if you are in the habit of pushing it off, I'll procrastinate, I'll do it later, that is gonna be your default, and it's gonna be really hard to get stuff done, and then you're gonna wonder why your to-do list is a million things long, and you have so much resistance to doing everything because you've programmed your brain to say, I will do it later, I can't take action right now. Successful people take action right now. When you have the idea, you have the thought, you have the emotion, and the second best thing is figuring out a time where you can get it done. Either way, we're gonna actually do the shit that we said we were gonna do. The ninth thing that I had to get rid of was decision fatigue, and man, was I drowning in it. What I replaced it with was habits and standards. Maybe for your fitness journey, what this looks like is if you get decision fatigue and you eat good all day and then you go balls to the walls at night, completely ruin your progress, or maybe on the weekends, we're gonna have a plan in place. We're gonna have habits, we're gonna have standards. Maybe we pre-log. If you know that you're gonna wanna treat later, work that into your food. If you get home and you don't have any healthy food available, so you go get some takeout instead, have that food available for yourself. Meal prep it. Or maybe for your workouts, if you know you're not really pushing yourself hard enough. Maybe instead, we keep a logbook, we write down our weights and our reps, and we make sure that we progressively overload every single time. So there's literally no decision. We look at the numbers and we say, I'm gonna do better than this next time. You can do this for what you eat, how you work out, what you wear, what you do for that day, when you get groceries, when you meal prep, when you clean your house, when you answer emails. We can have a system or a habit for every single thing that you struggle to get done. This is why we have habits and routines, to help with these things. Because your brain is always trying to save energy. That's why it reverts to habits. That's why we build habits. So if your brain can revert to that habit or that plan that you already put in place, then you don't have to worry about making all these decisions and reverting to old bad habits. We put some new ones in place. Another little tip right here that I think is really helpful is I text myself every single night. Now you could text yourself, you can write it in your planner, whatever floats your boat. I just do it right before bed so I can get all my thoughts out. I write down everything I need to do that next day, what my schedule's gonna look like. I'll pre-log my food for the following day. I know what my workout's gonna be. I have everything all planned out so I don't wake up and say, what should I eat? What should I wear? What should I do? And have the opportunity to make a decision that doesn't align with my goals. Now the 10th thing that I had to get rid of again, because I realized I kind of went back into this mindset, was chasing just a look for my workouts versus chasing strength and skills and numbers in the gym. Now, what I mean by that, when I first started my fitness journey, I was doing it because I wanted to look a certain way. I didn't necessarily care about how strong I was, the numbers I was putting up in the gym. I didn't really care about that. It was just a means to the end. As I got more into fitness, I absolutely loved it. I changed my major. I went to school for it. That was my whole life. I got a job in it. I built a business in it. Like, this is my favorite, right? And then along the way, I found bodybuilding. And with bodybuilding, the whole goal of the sport is to get your body to look a very specific way to be judged on stage. And while I loved living that lifestyle and I loved doing the bodybuilding thing when I did it, I realized it kind of no longer served me, and I was very, very focused on how I looked and needing to do certain things to look a certain way. And it took a little bit of that fun and that excitement out of training. And I didn't want all of my goals within fitness to just be tied to how I looked. Because I also knew that when that was how my workouts went, that wasn't quite as exciting and motivating for me, and it was more so, again, a means to an end. I wanted workouts to feel like I couldn't wait to go and train, push, and challenge my body. So instead of chasing a certain look and having that be the main driver for my workouts, of course, when I structure them, I'm targeting certain muscles to look a certain way. But when I'm in the gym, I'm focusing on the numbers that I can put up, how strong I can get, if I can get extra reps, how well I can control that weight, any skills that I want to get better at. Maybe it's like pull-ups. I remember being so excited when I could finally do a push-up or when I could leg press a certain amount of plates. Like, having those type of goals makes working out exciting. It makes me want to do it. It makes me want to push harder to be able to keep pushing the boundaries and reaching those goals. And the cool thing is, when we stop focusing on how we look and we more so focus on how we move our body and all of those other types of goals, our body changes a lot better as a result. Because when we're focused on getting stronger and performing better, what we're really doing is giving our body the stimulus that actually causes our body to change, not just wanting to look a certain way. So those are the 10 things that I've worked to remove from my life that help me reinvent myself and actually feel happier, healthier, and more like me again. And here's what I want you to take away. It's not always about adding more habits, more hustle, more pressure. Most of the time, it's about removing what's weighing you down, what's no longer serving you. When you let go of the things that are draining your energy, you finally have space for the things that light you up. So I want you to ask yourself, what is one thing that you know you need to let go of right now? Drop it in the comments, because addressing it and acknowledging it and saying it out loud or typing it is the first step to actually doing something about it and breaking free from it. And if this hit home for you, make sure you hit subscribe, because we're just getting started.